One of the patterns that I like down here is a very simple pattern. Really, I've seen this called, or variations called a number of different things, and it's kind of a saltwater woolly booger. We call ours a Madonna Fly. That was kind of named by one of my guides, I think 12-year-old daughter. She was the one that kind of christened that name. So here you can see how useful that retractable bobbin is. Take it over there out of the way. You can come right back here to your tie-in point. Yeah, so we'll start with a tail of Flashabou. Now I like to use a pearl Flashabou because what pearl does is it basically holds all of the colors in the full spectrum of natural light, just depending if it's cloudy, smoky, how high the sun is, as to how much of the spectrum will show. And that is exactly what small baitfish do in their coloration. So pearl actually will reflect back the ambient color in that day's natural light. I like to use a little saliva on there to stick it together. It makes it a lot easier to handle. Doesn't fly all over the place on you. And you notice that I tied it off in the center point. Some of these materials are kind of slick, and so by tying it off in the center point, you're sure that that's not going to slip out underneath your thread wrap. So we're going to come back here, back to the tail. Now, we'll use some of this craft hair. One of the things I like to keep at the bench is a comb. I also get this at the wig store, and you can take this and see how that straightened out that kind of curly stuff. So I'm going to take a piece of this, cut it off. Now there's some kind of thickness here at the butt. I'm going to pull some of this short fuzzy under fur out. Okay, lay it on there. Take that off. Now, I use a lot of different types of chenille. This is a hairline product, Frizzle, and it actually lays on the vise, especially the rotary vise, lays out nice and even. Now, when I lay the chenille on here, one of the things I want to do is I want the fiber of the material pushing back a little bit, and that way when I wrap it, it won't tend to overlap on itself. Let's see, you can see how easy that is to bring that up and over the thread post. And then with the Norvise, you can see how fast you can roll that on there. Now I'm going to add a little color here to the head. These pearlescent flies with a little red head are absolutely deadly on snook and corvina and some of the species that we catch out of the mangroves over on the Pacific side of the Baja. Notice I pull a little bit of that fiber off of the thread to expose it, makes it easier to tie on and secure. Pull the thread out of the way, a couple wraps like that, and then I'm going to crisscross over the barbell eyes with a nice round full head. Make a couple wraps here, pull that back out of the way so get a nice clean head. Now that's catching some of the fiber off of the main stem, get that locked down, then you can come back in, catch the main stem. I always keep my scissors in my hands. I don't have to go looking for them on the table there. And we're just going to simply finish this off with a whip finish. You can use a tool. I like to minimize the amount of movement at the vise, so I'm tying a lot of flies, you know, having to reach down and find your whip finish tool. And just going to snip it off. Make sure when you, with a retractable bobbin, that you hang it over here, otherwise that thread will zip right back into the spool and you'll have to thread the tool. Now to finish this off, we've got a little extra length here, but I like to add black tips on the tails of my flies. Two reasons. One is that a lot of bait fish have black tail tips, and the reason for that is that they swim in tight little schools and they kind of keep track of everybody else in the school. So as they're twisting and turning as a bait ball, they just kind of can keep track of the other fish in that school by looking at the black tips, much like antelope or mule deer, elk. They keep track of each other going through the brush and timber by a big white rump in front of them. Bait fish kind of key in on that black tip. Now the other reason, and I think is actually more important than say the realism that we just put in there, is the fact that that will visually look like there's more movement to it. And you can add you know, bars with a pentone marker into a fly, and maybe the bait fish doesn't have them, but those little shadows and bars in there, as it moves, fly moves through the water, it will look and give off more of the impression of movement. And the more alive that you can make a fly appear in the water, the more real it will be to a predator, and they're more apt to think it's food. I really believe in a lot of these high-speed feeding predators that, first of all, the size of the fly, that it matches the size of the bait fish they're feeding. It's sort of the concept of match a hatch in salt water. Once they get on a predominant food source, they will lock in on that size bait fish and keep feeding on it. So size is very important. I think that movement in the fly, you can use marabou. I like craft hair, it's fast to work with, it's very durable. I really like flashabou in there, again, because those are materials that move as you pull the fly through the water. So movement, size, and movement are very important. Color plays less of a role with high-speed predators. Now, ambush predators that are hiding behind a rock or in the mangrove roots or such, that dash out and grab something, are maybe a little bit more, have preferences sometimes to color, and I'll change around based on water clarity. But for these high-speed guys, you could probably tie in all white and they'd be just as happy. But as long as you're moving the fly like the prey that they're feeding on, and the fly itself has movement. And then I'm going to finish this off with a little bit of this dollar store, essentially Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails, but in a repackaged in another bottle, and save you a few bucks. Okay, and here we have the final product. This is a very fast, easy tie, and it catches a lot of fish. We've caught just about everything under the sun. In fact, there was one time that I had some fairly new people to fly fishing saltwater, and I took them out. There was a whole bunch of skipjack that were feeding on small bait fish, actually just about this size. And we were throwing these little Madonna flies at them, when all of a sudden, both father and daughter hooked up on something really big. And I thought maybe a yellowfin had come up and growled it. No, it was two striped marlin that had come through, and they were, again, they were feeding on the predominant size food source, and father and daughter each hooked up a striped marlin on a fly on a number 4 hook. So size is an important thing when you're trying to duplicate what the predator fish are feeding on.